Hey everyone, welcome to Confessions of a Marketing Mind. I have Laura from SEMrush with me. Hey Laura.
Hi.
Thanks for making time. It's really fun just to have you here and hopefully pick your brain and chat about all things marketing, digital, the future of everything. So it's really great to have you. I guess the first question that we always love asking here is, what's the geekiest thing that you do?
Well, geeky usually has a pejorative of being boring and socially inept. So is there something you're trying to say, Bernadette?
Nothing at all.
I would say those things don't really represent my vibe, but if we want to talk enthusiast geeky, I guess since I started working at SEMrush, I've become data obsessed. So to fully understand this, I'm going to have to take you on a bit of a journey. You need to grasp how low my self-confidence was with numbers. My father's a chartered accountant, and the only time I've seen him close to tears was when he tried to maths coach me during HSE.
Oh my gosh.
He was very, very quickly taken off this project. So you can kind of see how everyone, and myself included, would just assume data plus me would not work.
Mm-hmm.
However, being able to find my niche by intertwining stats and storytelling to create data-driven journalism has been absolutely life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
And after working in journalism for the past 6 years, I cannot stress the importance of the power of search to inform and educate the wider public. Honestly, be it from across the globe or state-by-state breakdowns over the past 4 months or past 4 years, SEMrush data highlights exactly what people are searching for. And as a result, I've been part of important and topical conversations. I've helped uncover breaking news stories and discover emerging trends. So as you can see, I'm a bit of a newfound data enthusiast, to the point where I've actually just created my own website, which is all about data-driven journalism and exactly what I do during my day job. So for most people, their passion's something completely different to work, but the first and last thing on my mind always seems to be data.
I love that. That sounds like a really big kind of pivot from an origin story all the way from maths and HSC all the way to this point. Like what side of the journey, what inspired you? And can you tell me more about this website that you have?
Yeah, sure. I also wanted to share a fun fact for you.
Oh, I love it.
I thought you'd be keen to know. So I searched the keyword geeky into SEMrush's keyword magic tool to see what the most frequently asked questions are in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the results. So number one top search is what to get my geeky boyfriend for Christmas.
Okay.
And the second most asked question online in Australia is how to find a geeky boyfriend. So that's what people are searching.
Okay. I love it.
Further to your question, my website is basically data-driven journalism. It's about online search trends, and it covers all different things from sport to business, finance to trending topics, lifestyle, Indigenous affairs, everything you can think of. I just find what people are searching, be it explainers or be it health questions, anything. I kind of like really dive deep into seeing what's on people's minds, and then just try and create stories with case studies and kind of like mini feature stories.
That's awesome. I love that it's like tapping into the brain of everyone at any time, because you're just trying to find out what questions people are actually asking. And the thing about geeky boyfriends is very hilarious. It's funny when you type into Google and you try and type in a search and then a suggestion completely out of whack pops up. Oh, okay, that's what people search for then. That's cool.
The results are baffling sometimes, trust me.
You must dive like so deep into that every day. That's your every day then. That's awesome. So, I mean, the digital landscape, it's constantly changing. That's probably the only constant about it. But what are your thoughts about where it's at the moment?
So considering the fact that the world is currently facing a global pandemic, I'm actually quite surprised to see just how much the digital marketing landscape's thriving. I'm currently the host of the Marketing Scoop podcast, which is a podcast powered by SEMrush. It's a show designed to educate, inform, and inspire marketers. And each episode focuses on real-life case studies, whereby an industry expert offers actionable tips with measurable results. And over the past few months, I've been able to really explore so many different case studies and success stories from some of the best names in the business, all of whom have used innovative and fresh marketing tactics to really turn their brand upside down. So from Microsoft to Muckrack, Amazon to Atlassian, we're hearing how the world's top organizations are not only adapting to this new normal, but they're thriving from it too. And it's not just the major players flourishing either. even the smaller agencies, I mean, they're finding these times quite challenging, but they've really used this crisis to connect with their audience, be it through blogs, podcasts, webinars, all of which are super important for the digital marketing landscape, because if you don't understand your clients, how are you going to serve their needs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I guess it all comes down to being able to find the data and then actually make decisions off the back of it. And I love these stories, especially during this period that it is daunting and crazy and uncertain, but a lot of creativity and pivoting comes off the back of it. So, I mean, I guess I'd love to hear more. Are there any kind of stories that really call out to you of people making big changes for really big results?
Well, you have to head to the Marketing Scoop podcast to hear all of it in detail.
How exciting.
But it's just like things like learning how Microsoft Teams grew their traffic, trumping every single other platform, like for instance, Slack, their rival. I think they grew their uniquely daily audience by 65 million viewers in 1 year. So those results, and that was just by adapting to the needs of people during the crisis. And like stories like that are just insane, fantastic to see that happening. Even like a Muckrack, they grew their user engagement insanely as well by offering a free tool for journalists and people who use the platform. And Atlassian, who used YouTube to boost their marketing funnel.
That's awesome. I love that. And I guess at the end of the day, even just from the example from Microsoft Teams, it's all about connecting more people with each other during this period when everyone's just so far apart. So that's really awesome. I'm really curious. I will definitely check this out after this. And I guess what I love as well, the creativity that comes from it is just facing a lot of the challenges that we're kind of tackling each day. So from your perspective, what are the maybe even 3 biggest marketing challenges that you've overcome in the past few months?
This is an interesting one. And I think for any business, the biggest challenge is creating brand awareness and maintaining that strong, positive reputation over the years. I guess I'm quite blessed to have come from an investigative journalism background, which means I really understand the importance of brand brilliance and mission-driven marketing. Because if you don't have credibility, then you really have nothing. So being able to explore, uncover, and investigate data-driven journalism by using SEMrush data was what really, really helped me overcome this challenge, both across the UK and Australia. So I work with a fantastic team who push out stories across all areas and platforms, be it television, radio, print, digital, which really helps build brand awareness by establishing us as a trusted data provider. I think, I don't know, of the 3 points, no, that was 1 point, so I've got 2 more. Remote working. I was hired as a remote worker, so I've been working remotely for a year. And I would say it's not really a marketing challenge, but I would say in my day-to-day routine, it was super difficult to get used to that change. It's a massive change from going from, busy, non-stop 24-hour newsroom to working at home.
Yeah.
I think I'm not alone now with that kind of insanity that people have started to feel by just needing to get out and have that healthy work-life balance. And a third one, this is tricky, marketing challenge. I would say getting used to using platforms like Slack as a main connecting kind of channel. Usually I'm used to emails and it's quite formal, but getting used to working with Slack really showed that it's in a company like SEMrush, it's all about chatting and just quick response. You need to be there. If a client needs something, you need to just be always nonstop, ready to handle any issue or ready to reply, ready to give data. Just be present. So that kind of nonstop being on call, I think that's a marketing challenge that I've found quite difficult as well, like coming into this role, but I've gotten used to it by platforms like Slack actually, and just on my phone, on my laptop, and just being ready to kind of handle anything that comes, including a crisis.
Yeah, definitely. I guess that's part of the whole digital world, is that we're always online and we're always just super connected with anyone. So literally connecting with someone is just a notification on your phone away from that next conversation. So I can definitely see as well how exhausting that can be, as much as it is an opportunity. I totally relate to the Slack challenge as well. It is constant, but Especially nice, so I guess it's very necessary. So one of the things you come back to a number of times, and I do love this, is how important data is. And I guess you're only as good as your data. So SEMrush is going to really recognize in terms of providing trusted data. What does that involve, and how have you really built that reputation?
Okay, yeah, definitely. What you said, I could not say it better myself. And I think for any business to be perceived as trusted should be their main goal, because again, like I said before, without credibility, you don't really have much. So there are various elements that I focus on to ensure that SEMrush is a trusted data provider across the globe. One of our main strengths is the quality of content we offer. So the news stories we select to dive deep into vary from hard-hitting news to business and finance, or sports and lifestyle trends to Indigenous affairs. And I think covering a wide range of topics positions us as leaders in the field. Our data is dynamic, it's transparent, and it does not discriminate. So we have such a diverse team, some of the world's best data scientists collecting these numbers, which positions us as a reliable source. Another element is the coverage of news we secure. So if you look at the type of media running SEMrush data, you'll see it's the top tier publications. We work closely with outlets such as ABC, the Sydney Morning Herald, Sky News, BBC, CNN, Forbes, The Guardian, basically all of the news outlets that have established a positive reputation and the ones that people tend to trust. And finally, something I think people really take for granted, which is so crucial, and I mentioned it before, our data does not discriminate. We offer it to all journalists and media professionals completely free of charge. So this is so everyone can enhance their content creation. No more excuses for fake news. No one wants to read that. No one wants to see that. So by making our data available for everyone, it means the next time someone claims these are the most searched for fashion labels in Australia, we can back that by saying, here are the stats that prove these are the most searched for brands down under.
That's awesome. I guess there's something amazing and empowering about just the accessibility to this data as well, which is really awesome. So Laura, it's really interesting just in terms of how empowering it must be to have that much accessibility to data. So are there any other examples of how journalists have been using this information?
Yeah, definitely. So I think with this type of question, most people will instantly tend to think of measurable results. But in fact, my example that I want to give to you is purely based on successfully achieving to be part of an important conversation which ultimately drives change, which is my main goal. It's an unfortunate truth that during lockdown, many people suffered in silence, and we wanted to investigate this further. So SEMrush data showed an alarming increase in internet searches relating to domestic abuse since the lockdown began. The spikes in searches proved that people were reaching out for help. And in the UK, Australia, across the globe, we saw major increases in searches for things like domestic abuse hotline, and website traffic to the National Domestic Abuse Helpline skyrocketed. So by uncovering these facts, we were able to identify the need for greater support for victims suffering behind closed doors. Sky News ran this story on TV, and it was like one of their major features for the evening. I'm currently working with Victoria Derbyshire on Panorama, which is one of the world's best investigative documentary series to help reveal the truth about stories that matter. And I think we saw something like, I can't exactly give you the right numbers right now, but we had stories picked up all across the globe, from Canada to Australia to the UK to America to Italy to Mexico, Spain. Everyone ran with these stats. So it was quite a powerful thing to be a part of.
That's crazy. And I guess it's one of the really scary and daunting realities of the situation is, I guess there are some really bright and interesting and different examples of the current situation, like dealing with Slack more often, but there is another side that it is enlightening that data can point us in the right direction, just for us to connect more as humans and support our fellow humans in that way. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not just those stories, it's anything. So for instance, have you ever wondered what the wider public think when it comes to having a female James Bond? Or perhaps how many people are searching how to learn an Australian Aboriginal language, which one's the most searched for across the globe, what the most frequently asked questions are related to this, or maybe you want to know which Australian brands have seen major spikes to their websites during lockdown. SEMrush data can get you all of this. So for those of you who don't know, we collect not just online search trends, but the website traffic and Twitter sentiment analysis. So that enables me to blend search trends with storytelling.
That's really awesome. It really sounds like you'd be amazing at pub trivia or something, just based off all those Google searches. All this knowledge.
Trivia. So, Yep. I'm always up for it.
I'll take that. Yep. Love it. So, Laura, could you tell me more about how you've been able to intertwine online search trends, topical news stories, and really combine them into something that's compelling? And
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, do you remember when the documentary about Michael Jackson was released? I think it was 2 years ago now. But media reports claimed he had lost his following. So I decided to conduct a Twitter sentiment analysis to see if his legacy was ruined. And in fact, our stats showed the majority of people tweeting about MJ used positive language. So the top hashtags were MJ innocent and boycott HBO and several other things in his favor, which really proves that despite media saying that MJ had lost his fans, the sentiment on Twitter was very much in support of the artist. So once we shared these stats with media, the BBC picked this up and the story ran like wildfire. We saw something like 65 plus tier 1 publications alone, just tier 1 publications alone, run with our data across the globe in just 2 days. And then we continued seeing the results spread out after during that week.
yeah, that's like incredible. I think just the power of search trends and the power of understanding what people are talking about online does kind of uncover so much more of the conversation than potentially you might think is happening on the surface level.
And I found like, just because, obviously media and everyone was saying, his music was stopped playing on the radio, etc. like that. People will forget about him, etc. like that. Again, obviously my opinion is I don't have an opinion on this. I'm just talking purely on the stats. But I think it is really important to use these stats to say, well, hold on a minute. It's not about what the media is saying. It's about what the people are saying. And that's something that's, I think, super powerful. The power of search, as I mentioned before. It just shows that you kind of need these facts to really create these stories to make sure that it's not fake news and it's reporting what is actually happening and what is on people's minds and what people are saying about specific topics.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's one of those kind of transformative things is at the end of the day, you try and find data to support your case, but sometimes data just speaks completely differently. And you have to have the humility and the adaptiveness just to run with it and see what's actually happening in the world and pivot your strategy accordingly. So I guess it's a really powerful message in general for businesses for all marketers everywhere. That's part of the challenge. So, I mean, just hearing your stories about kind of creating stories that go across the world, I think one thing as marketers that we need to explore more is what does it look like to really create brand awareness on an international level? Whether you're your company, you're already established, you've gone international, or you're looking to go global. Do you have any tips or thoughts on that?
100%. So I think it's things like, saying yes to doing an interview with an Australian agency, things like that, to hosting the podcast, which has a huge US audience. But again, ultimately, I think the main thing is that people need to remember it's about building brand awareness, and that all lies within creating good content. So by collaborating with our teams covering regions across the globe, we ensure the public have access to quality data, and that enforces quality data-driven journalism and just puts SEMrush on the radar at an international level as a trusted data provider.
Definitely. And I love just the idea around data and how we can actually inform potentially a lot of organizations who are starting this journey versus already on it. If you're starting the journey, you're wondering where to start with what kind of content to create, looking at what people are actually talking about online, the pain points they're experiencing can really influence where to get started in the first place. Because you obviously can't write content about absolutely everything in one go. It's time consuming, but it's very, very rewarding in the end.
And that's why I gave you that little fun fact example about the top searches for Geeky. It is really interesting to kind of dig deep and see what people are searching online. And in the marketing world, especially like when you're creating content, let's say you want to find out the most commonly asked questions about a specific topic or a specific keyword. Things like SEMrush data can really give you the main things that people are searching, which makes you work smarter, not harder, because if people are asking about XYZ, you don't waste your time spending on writing about FWG. You kind of go to what you're doing and really like beef it out. And perhaps if it's creating and, making your podcast about this specific topic to make sure you're answering the public's needs.
Definitely. I think it just comes back to the fact that people are already having these conversations. So entering these conversations in a really authoritative and approachable and really positive way is such an important element of brand awareness. You've got to kind of join these conversations before you start attracting, views and audiences and things like that. So Laura, one of the things I'm really curious about right now is that a big challenge for marketers isn't actually anything to do with our campaigns. It's just the day-to-day, keeping your team morale high, staying connected. And I guess I'm curious, what does that look like for an organization like SEMrush?
Yeah, Bernadette, you are so right. And I think it's so important to have a healthy work-life balance, more so now than ever before, considering people have found themselves suddenly working remotely from home. And SEMrush certainly caters for a crisis. So I find it quite rare to work for a workplace that puts their employees first, but I'm very proud to say I am currently working for one. And I'll give you a few examples to understand what I'm talking about. So to show we stand in solidarity against institutionalized racism, systematic abuse, and in an aim to stop deaths in custody, our CEO empowered employees to take action by selecting charities and organizations to support where SEMrush will double up donations, which I find absolutely amazing. And I think all companies should really be pushing this. Also, during the pandemic, SEMrush was sure to support struggling clients as well as the partners of employees who were let go due to COVID. So I just find that quite touching, it's heartwarming to see that the company is really supporting not just you, but your family as well. So it is like quite a little community, quite a little family at SEMrush. We're encouraged to interact with various team members across the globe, and there are health and wellbeing programs offered. We're expected to attend various education courses of our choice, be it learning a new language, a new skill, anything you want. We're allowed to do that. There are psychology sessions available for those who need to have a yarn. And it's not just about SEMrush staff. We offer so much free content, be it SEMrush tools, our courses, certificates, webinars, YouTube guides, blog posts, podcasts, all so people can boost their skills in marketing. And to top it all off, our events team knows how to throw epic parties and events, which is always a fun bonus and a great way to networking with people. So I think for all those reasons and so many more, I'm just so grateful to belong to the SEMrush community. I think the opportunities I've had in my first year alone at the company are unimaginable. So from heading media for the UK and Australia to hosting a podcast and now representing SEMrush as their news presenter, my journey has just begun and I'm really excited to see where it goes next. So I've got to say this role, and alongside my position as a cross-platform journalist at NITV News, which is National Indigenous Television at SBS, have really, really inspired me and helped pave the way for telling stories through a different lens. And I'm very grateful for these opportunities.
That's really awesome. I guess just the breadth of different initiatives that are going on at SEMrush just sounds incredible. And ultimately also if organizations put their money where their mouth is, and back the causes that really matter right now. It's really cool. So, Laura, our time is up now, but thank you so much for all of your time and sharing your insights. It's been really cool hearing about the story of how SEMrush is really driving conversation around using evidence, using data to really tap into what people are searching for and hopefully uncover a new perspective on what's actually going on in the world. I love just in terms of organizations, the opportunity here is actually tapping into content creation that actually is going to make an impact because you know exactly what people really care about, really. So I'll leave it here. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining Confessions of Marketing Mind. We'll catch you next time.